Hey guys, Joe here at JP Details with part 2 of sorting the freshly refurbished wheels out, and first up are the Focus RS's 19s. Before the refurb, the Focus wheels were in desperate need of some attention. The inside of the wheel barrels were badly flaking with how corroded they had become, and it certainly was an area that I had high on my priority list to get sorted. The wheels were sent off for a refurb and I was excited to get them back, and besides the little trouble that I had with the wheel refurbishers, they did return back to me in dark anthracite and were looking a whole load better. The Focus is eventually going to be getting prepared to a concourse standard, so without a shadow of a doubt do we need to get these wheels polished and ceramic coated. The first step was to give the wheels an IPA wipe down in order to remove any pledge polish residue, which if you watched the first part to this shoddy wheel refurb series, then you should know what I'm on about. This initial IPA wipe down is going to remove any polish residue, greasy fingerprints and generally any type of dirt or grease that may be on the surface of the wheels, in order for me to properly inspect them before giving them a polish. The Focus RS wheels were in pretty bad shape before the refurbishment, particularly on the inner barrels as they blatantly hadn't been kept clean over the past 9 years. My original plan was to keep the wheels the same standard silver colour, although last minute I had a change of plan. I decided to go with the colour dark anthracite, and I've got to say that I am impressed. The only downside is that there are various fine scratches in the freshly painted finish and also quite a few sanding marks. I'm not exactly happy with the fact that I'm having to machine polish the wheels, as I certainly did not expect my freshly painted set to be covered in these types of defects. Whilst I'm conducting the IPA wipe down for the wheels, I'm also going to clean the tyre walls, because in its own right, IPA is a degreaser and quite an effective one too. This is going to remove all odd traces of previous tyre dressings and any grease, dirt or general grime. By doing this, we'll prepare the surface for the new tyre dressing in order for the new tyre dressing to last a long time. I personally like to spend the time doing things properly, so in return, those things that I'm doing are going to last as long as possible. After a close inspection of the wheels using a scan grip light, which I did include footage of in the first part of this series, well, the Focus wheels are in fact covered in those light defects which were prominent all over the wheels, including the inner barrels, so I was pretty gutted. The first step is going to be giving the wheels a machine polish, starting with the Repes Mini Bigfoot, which has a 3-inch polishing pad. This step for the wheel barrels should remove those light marks and bring them back to an acceptable condition. Considering that these wheels have only just been refurbished, I did not expect to have to complete this stage, so I was rather annoyed. After a thorough working in for the backs of the wheels using the smaller machine polisher, the polish residue was removed by hand using a 300 GSM premium microfiber towel, which are actually available on the JP Details online store. With the rears taken care of in terms of the polishing stage, I attacked the front of the wheels, starting with the Repes Mini Bigfoot. I found that with the Repes Mini Bigfoot, I was able to polish the tops of the spokes with ease. The 3-inch pad was overhanging on all of the spokes, but for the faces of them, this machine was polishing them incredibly effectively. Most of the noticeable defects on the wheels are on the faces of the spokes, as they are the most prominent areas that you will see when the wheels are on the car. Literally speaking, then the same type of defects are all over the wheels, including the inner barrels, faces of the spokes and even between the spokes. I paid good money for these wheels to be refurbed, so it's a shame that what's happened has happened. This single stage machine polish is bringing the wheels up nicely, but in order for me to remove 100% of those defects, then it would definitely take a cutting stage first, which I just don't have the time to do. The problem with this set were light scratches all over, so fine surface marring and also sanding marks and the odd deeper scratch. The only defect left over for the Focus wheels after this single stage machine polish were the odd slightly deeper scratch here and there. God knows how they were caused. After the Bigfoot machine was utilised due to the size of the pad being very effective for the top facing surfaces, the Repes Hybrid Nano was deployed to polish the inside of the spokes. This is my first ever time using this machine, and I've got to say that I was a little disappointed with how slowly it spins and also that it isn't of a rotary action. Once again, if you have ever used a Repes Bigfoot machine polisher, then you should know that they do like to work on flat surfaces in order for them to spin at maximum RPM. Whilst polishing the wheels, I did find that the machine would bog down quite a bit, which sure in fact delayed the process of getting the inside of the spokes polished and was a rather frustrating process. Regardless of the annoying issues that I found with the Repes Hybrid Nano, and considering the fact that I'd wanted one of these machines for a number of years, I did eventually end up getting the wheels back to a good enough standard for me to be happy with when they are fitted back to the vehicle. The polishing stage was complete. I took a 300 GSM premium microfiber towel and buffed the polish residue from the surface of the wheel. At this point I could tell a nice difference in the gloss level of the freshly refurbished dark anthracite RS wheel, and considering the fact that the Focus RS will eventually be prepared to a concourse standard, it was nice to witness, especially with how shite they were looking before. Quite a time consuming task is polishing multi-spoke Focus RS wheels, I can assure you of that. After wiping the polish residue away from the wheels, I liberally applied the IPA and gave the wheels a second thorough wiping over in order to remove the polish residue and oils to prepare the surface for ceramic coating application. The tyres were given a second IPA clean to ultimately prepare them for a few layers of Swissvax pneu tyre dressing. G-Technics C5 wheel armour is my ceramic coating of choice for the wheels, which should last with good maintenance for 2 years. G-Technics supply you with some little cotton buds to apply the coating, and with several drips of the product onto the pad, it spreads nicely over the surface of the wheel. It doesn't take a massive amount of ceramic coating to ensure an even and full coverage, although you still want to make sure that you get enough coating spread out onto every painted surface. By the time the coating has been applied, immediately take a fresh microfiber towel and begin removing the excess residue. Flip the towel to a fresh side and once again repeat the process and cover all areas twice. Sometimes I do like to adapt to a 2-towel technique, and by the time you've wiped over with the second towel, all of the excess coating will have been removed. When the coating has been applied to the entire wheel and then gently buffed off, potentially with the 2-towel technique, the wheels will need to remain dry, i.e. indoors, for 12 hours before being put back on the vehicle and driven outside. You can put the wheels back on the car, although I like to let them sit for 12 hours to avoid any greasy or oily fingerprints in the freshly ceramic coated paintwork. The ceramic coating was of course applied to the inside of the wheel barrels, including behind the spokes, and then immediately removed using the 2-towel technique when all areas had been adequately coated. A final wipe over for the spokes of the alloys, simply to make sure that any stray ceramic coating residue had been fully removed, and then the wheels were allowed to sit in the unit for 12 hours to allow them to fully cure. Be sure to tune in to episode 4 of the Wheel Refurb series to witness the 3 SDMs get polished and ceramic coated, as those wheels were the worst affected. Episode 5 will be preparing the Porsche Cayenne wheels ready to go up for sale, and me being me, I haven't recorded any footage of fitting the wheels back to the vehicles. So stay tuned for future videos on the Focus and the Caddy to see the new wheels when those videos go live. As always, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Be sure to check out the JP Details online store, and of course please give me a follow on Facebook and Instagram, just search JP Details. I'll hopefully catch you in the next one.